Hello. This is the Bible in Fewer Words. We are Carol and Steve Wells. This is episode 300, the book of Revelation, chapter 1. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Carol.
What is Revelation known for?
It's the most controversial book in the Bible.
Okay. The little that I know about it has to do with people determining when the world will end.
Right.
How many people have done that?
Ever since John, the guy that wrote the book of Revelation, ever since then, people have been trying to figure out what it means with regard to the end of the world.
So it's kind of a puzzle that people all work on and say, we're going to come up with our own date.
Yeah, and that's happened throughout the history of Christianity. The early Christians thought that the end was coming right away. Jesus said that the end would be coming during his listener's lifetime. And
that didn't happen.
It didn't happen, and this was written not long after that. Scholars have a hard time dating this exactly, somewhere between 70 and 100 CE. But by that time, people were starting to wonder, when's it going to happen? So they're going to be using this book. We'll see, that doesn't seem to be what John was writing about.
Oh.
He wasn't writing about a prediction about when the world was going to end. Well, he was, but it was going to happen right away. In fact, we'll see that in the first few verses.
Okay. Should we read about that?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Great. Chapter 1. This is the revelation that God gave to Jesus Christ about things that will happen soon, as delivered by an angel to John. What John are we talking about here?
Oh, yeah, we didn't mention that. Well, you would think he would identify himself as the Apostle John.
Yeah.
Right? The apostle that Jesus loved or whatever. But he doesn't. He says he's John of Patmos. But the church fathers, almost all of them, thought he was the Apostle John. But he doesn't identify himself that way. Yeah, he's just pretty much calling himself John, but he does say John of Patmos. Patmos is an island in the Aegean Sea, just offshore of modern-day Turkey.
Okay.
So that's about all we know, is he was a guy named John living on an island named Patmos. And that we don't know that really from what we've read so far, but he'll get to it. I did want to mention something. In verse 1, we see John is going to be making a prediction about things that are going to come, right? He says that in verse 1.
Yes, so things that are going to come is the end of the world.
Yes, but he says that will soon happen. So John is prophesying that the end will come soon.
Yeah.
From his perspective, that means like he'll see it. It's going to come soon.
Okay, so God gave the prediction to Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ gave it to John.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, it was delivered by an angel to John. So God told Jesus told the angel, and the angel's telling John. And now we're getting to read about
This
it.
is like playing the game of telephone.
It is, yes. Divine telephone, kind of.
Verse 3. Blessed are those who read the words of this prophecy, because the end is near.
Yeah, he repeats that throughout the book, that the end is near. So he's not really talking about us now.
No,
right? He's not thinking, the end is near 2,000 years from now.
Yeah.
It's all going to happen. No, to John, what he's saying is going to happen now.
Yeah.
Because John's writing this to Christians who are being persecuted.
Just to give them hope.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's to give the Christians who are being persecuted hope.
Yeah, I can see that. Verse 4. From John and the 7 spirits to the 7 churches in Asia, and from Jesus Christ, who washed us in his own blood. 7 spirits, 7 churches.
John really likes the number 7. We'll see that as we go through. 7 is just repeated over and over in the Apocalypse. The Apocalypse is another way of referring to the book of Revelation.
And what does that word mean?
It means revealing. So it's kind of the same thing as Revelation.
Okay. Verse 7. Jesus is coming with clouds, and everyone will see him, including those who killed him. Everyone on earth will wail because of him.
Yeah, so he's going to come back in the clouds, and everyone, including the Roman soldiers that killed him, they're going to all see him when he returns.
And they'll all wail.
Yeah.
So they're going to be crying and screaming because it's going to be so awful?
I guess.
Everyone
on earth will see him. Yeah, so it's going to be hard to do that because you'd have to really be on a flat earth, right?
Yeah. Well, they had one back then.
Yeah. Okay. Verse 9. I'm John, writing to you from the island of Patmos.
Where is Patmos?
It's just offshore in the Aegean Sea from Turkey.
Okay.
And these 7 churches that he mentions,
Yes.
those are 7 churches that figure fairly prominently in the book. And yeah, he's writing it to these 7 churches. Well, I say he, it's really from God and Jesus and the angel,
Yeah, all those people.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, so I'm looking at the names of one, and the only one I recognize is Philadelphia.
Yeah,
So
that's in Pennsylvania, right?
Yes, and it's the city of brotherly love.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But we've heard of Ephesus before, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Verse 10. I was in the Spirit of the Lord's day when I heard a loud voice like a trumpet, saying, I am the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Write what you see in a book and send it to the 7 churches in Asia: Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamos, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea.
Glad you read that. Notice that he was in the Spirit on the Lord's Day. This is the first time that the Lord's Day is used, and that is probably Sunday, like what Christians celebrate today as their Sabbath. Okay, so, all right, so he's writing, write what you see.
In a book.
Yeah, right. Send it to these 7 churches. I turned to see the voice and saw 7 golden candlesticks. Among the candlesticks was someone who looked like the Son of Man with a long robe and a gold girdle across his chest.
It's a weird place to wear a girdle.
Yeah.
His head and hair were as white as snow, and his eyes were like flames of fire.
His feet were like brass, and his voice had the sound of many waters. He had 7 stars in his right hand, and a 2-edged sword came out of his mouth. So just picture that, huh?
Yeah, it sounds like a dangerous set of accoutrements to have on your body.
Yeah. He's got white hair. You think of Jesus with white hair, but
No.
he's talking about Jesus here.
Okay, not God.
No, the Son of Man, he's talking about Jesus.
Okay.
So he's got white hair and a white face. He's white. He's a white guy.
Yeah, well, that's weird. I mean, he wasn't living in a place where people had white skin.
No, but his skin is really white, right?
Yeah.
Like snow. And his head and hair are as white as snow. And his eyes were like flames of fire. And he's got this sword coming out of his hand.
And feet of brass.
Feet of brass, yeah.
And it was hard to understand him because his voice had the sound of many waters. So it just sounded like waves.
Yeah, I sound like that sometimes, I think.
All right. When I saw him, I fell down like I was dead. And he said, don't be afraid. Those are waves.
Okay.
I'm the first and the last.
I was dead, but now I'm alive forever. Amen. I have the keys to hell and death.
Does he have the keys to heaven, though?
Yeah, he does. I guess not. He get hell and death. Oh, what a cheerful soul he is.
Yeah. And that's Jesus talking.
That's Jesus, yeah. Keys to hell and death.
Write what you've seen, the things that are and the things that will be later.
The 7 stars and the 7 candlesticks are the 7 churches.
Oh, he's telling us what his little costume represents.
Yeah, so he's got the candlesticks and the stars, and those are representing the 7 churches that he's going to
Write the book to.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, got that. Okay, that's our beginning to Revelation.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be kind of a wild ride.
I think so, yeah. One thing I will say, though, is as we go through it, most people don't read it this way.
How do they read it?
Well, they read it like they read the rest of the Bible, just in bits and pieces.
Oh.
But if you go through and you read it as a story, from beginning to end, it will make more sense.
You are a liar.
No, I'm serious.
Okay, listeners, we are almost done with this Bible. You can do it. You can make it through Revelation.
Well, it's 21 more chapters.
Okay, they can do it. Okay, thanks, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
And goodbye, listeners. See you next time. Bye-bye.